Hello, my friends. I'm Sam Hardesty, a certified life coach, and welcome to the Authentic Entrepreneur Podcast. What's up? What's up? What's up? Hello, my friends. I miss you. Okay, so today, I am going to keep you on the loop of my life as I generally do. And then we're going to be talking about why you should embrace the prepper mindset. And I know I'm already going to get a lot of kickback from a handful of you, especially those who I've already talked to about this. But in all the best ways. And I am ready for all of the conversations that will come after this. So, okay. So what's been up with me? Nothing much, honestly. Like just from okay, that's an absolute lie. The actions that I'm doing, like my day to day, nothing's really been crazy. Like business is great. Like home life has been awesome. Like literally no complaints. But it's just like everything's the same, right? But my personal, like my identity, like who I am as a human, my identity with myself has shifted. And this is something that I go through probably at least once a year, probably every 6 months, more realistically. It could be even more than that sometimes, where there's just like a shift in my identity. My priorities, my values, I shouldn't say my values, but my priorities shift with the changing of, I don't know, just what I do in the days and constantly recalibrating and realigning, checking in with myself and saying, okay, am I on track with my highest self? Like that next version of me, am I living a life for her, for myself, but for my future self, essentially. So I have, I feel like I've what's that from I think the Ants movie? It's like, I'm a beautiful butterfly. I feel like I've grown into a butterfly. From the outsides, nothing's shifted, guys. I'm not like, I didn't grow a unicorn or anything. Like I'm still a normal human. Like I still have my ups and downs and everything. But like, I don't know. Where I see myself going has shifted. And again, there's no changes on the end of my clients, which is, so don't worry, clients, everything's okay. I guess it's just how I see myself in the world, and I feel like so often, identity shifts or identity crises, even sometimes people will call them, like the outside world's like, oh, everything has to be so much different, but it's really not. Things are pretty much the same. It's just I view myself differently, and this shifted, a year ago when I started taking my physical health more seriously. And then it shifted again the last month or so, when I am now, for next year, preparing to have a child. So a lot has shifted in the last month or so, just the way I view myself in the sense of, I don't know, I guess I really just sat down and looked at my life, looked at my businesses and how I operate and where I'm spending my time. And it didn't feel fully in alignment. Like I felt like things were off. And I essentially just started working toward, okay, well, what feels good? What does feel like in alignment? So I essentially put myself in my future version's shoes. So the goal, Ian and I are planning on expanding our family next year from 2 fur babies to 2 fur babies and 1 human baby. So we're hoping, I'll lay out all the beans here, guys. Hoping to conceive in the new year. So more like February, March time and giving birth November, December time, however that math adds up there. Because we really, for those of you who know or don't know, we own another business, Hardesty Imaging, and a good chunk of our business comes from wedding photography and videography. So I wanted to essentially like create my own maternity leave as an entrepreneur, like be in charge of that, but like do what I could for myself as my employer, I guess. So essentially by giving birth in November, December time, I'll essentially have like 6 months ish off to be just full-time mom and baby time. And weddings will start kicking back up April, May of the following year. So that is my own like planning in that capacity. And yeah, so with this shift of like, okay, if I essentially the question that I asked myself, I said, if I had a baby right now, like in this exact moment, could I sustain the habits that I have? Could I sustain the output that I have? Could I sustain the relationships and the like, could things be maintained? And immediately the answer was no. I put myself at capacity and I was doing such a great job, guys. November through, I would say March time is when it started cracking out. Like when I started having these shifts in priorities. So I'd say like November through, February, I was crushing it. I was at my capacity. Like I was like, a goal of mine was like to see what I'm capable of. And, owning and operating 2 businesses, plus like in my coaching business, a lot of my output content was, this podcast, which I am absolutely in love with the more and more I do it. YouTube videos, email marketing. So I would send out a monthly newsletter. I had essentially a group coaching program, where if you were my client, you would get access to a monthly Zoom call where we would just expand on a topic that we were learning into that month. So, and a lot of my podcasts really kind of stemmed from that topic of the month, essentially. And in order to produce all of that content, everything was on a deadline. Like in order to do one thing, like I needed 5 other things to be completed. Like if I missed a deadline on one thing, then that means all of the other deadlines are missed because it was a domino effect, right? And I realized, and it really put into show, it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I got sick for like an entire week. It was just a regular flu or whatever. And, but I just wasn't recovering as fast as I, wanted to, as one, naturally desires. So when I was sick for that like entire week, all of my like to-do list was like, it was just shot, and I'm a firm believer in solid recovery. Like I will not half-ass that stuff because I also know you're just going to drag that shit out. So as soon as I get sick, I'm like, fuck it. I'm taking the whole day off and, just resting and trying to recover with the hopes that like the next day I'm fully recovered and yay me and I can do all the things at my full capacity. Yeah, that didn't happen for like an entire week. It was horrible. And the thing, like the more connected you are with your body, I think the more you realize when you're not fully optimized. So when I was sick, I had such bad brain fog. Like things just weren't strung together. Like I felt like I was missing so many things, right? And I realized, like, reflecting on that, going through like my thought of, I kind of paralleled it. I know it is 100% not the same thing. But I paralleled it to having a kid. I'm like, there's going to be days where you're going to have a to-do list and things aren't going to get done, there's just, the days are unexpected. You don't know what's to come. And especially as a baby, like they just piss shit and cry and sleep. Sleep is nice. Like you don't, like the first few months are challenging, it just totally rocks your world in the capacity of, like waking up and you're like, okay, I know exactly what to expect, because you're only worrying about, your partner. If you have fur babies, like they just are constantly in love with you at all points and days, unless they randomly, like my cats, throw up or shit in a place they're not supposed to. There's those days. But at the end of the day, like everything's within your control, right? And you can't control a baby, especially as they grow up and then they start walking and all the things, right? So I have essentially put myself in my future version shoes of, okay, how do I want to work as a mom? How do I want to connect with people as being also a mom? And it really got me thinking and really had me like recalibrating my life and more so of the business side. Like, what are my expectations? And so I essentially am putting myself down to a 3-day schedule. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, my goal is to work on those days, with the assumption that I work from like 9:30 to 3:30. Like that would be cream of the crop. That'd be nice. So 3 days a week, and then the remaining days I have off. So, well, with a caveat, generally we pretty much have a wedding, to capture every Saturday. So I kind of threw in, an extra day with the assumption you get 2 off days, right? So it's honestly not too far off from a traditional work week. But I really want to focus on Thursdays and Fridays being my connection days. And what that means essentially is like meeting with people out in the world. And over the last year, so years ago, I would say like just before COVID time, even in COVID time, like COVID time, it's now like an era of everyone's life, how we identify our lives. But I would meet with people all the time and I would just burn myself out. As an introvert, I don't fully enjoy. I do enjoy, but I don't like it. I need time after meeting with someone to recoup, like to recharge essentially. And I was burning myself out constantly. So then I'm like, you know what? Screw it. Like, I don't need to meet people all the time. And then I naturally, as one human does, pendulum shifted to the exact opposite, where I now meet no one. I have no meetings outside of my scheduled sessions or my scheduled meetings, right? And one of the words that kind of came to me, a few months ago through this whole like shift in identity process of, the word that came to me was nurture. And I have no clue where it came from, but probably just because I was thinking motherly vibes. But that was the word. I'm like, what do I need to receive more of? What do I need to give more of? And that was the word, was nurture. And in the moment when I got it, I kind of freaked out because I'm like, what the fuck do I do with that? Like, I don't know. I don't know what that looks like, because I don't feel like I was providing any nurturing connections. And I didn't feel like I was being nurtured also. Like, I felt like I guess I was nurturing myself in the capacity of like my daily routines, but not inherently work-wise, and definitely not when it came to the community. Like, I felt like I was giving off a vibe, and I was, it was being reflected right back. Not like not in a bad way, but just like not in a full alignment way, essentially. So weeks have progressed, and everything just like flows together. Like, everything happens for a reason, and it can be challenging, and I say that, and I know some people are like, well, why did this person do this bad thing? 100%. Like, I'm not condoning any capacity like that. Not at all. But we can always find a reason for something, right? And in this way, I think so essentially I have reduced my workload, which I'm very excited about. And I have increased my nurturing opportunities, essentially connecting with people in the community, having one-on-ones or coffee chats, whatever you want to call them, just having time available for spontaneous meetups. I still honor my week out schedule. So like I will schedule like every Sunday evening I do what's called hour one with my husband. We essentially schedule out the entire week in advance. Everything we need to do, all of our meetings, everything is listed out on our to-do lists, our, calendars essentially. So if like a new meeting comes up like on a Wednesday and they're like, hey, you want to meet up tomorrow? The answer is always going to be no. Well, unless there's like this weird circumstance, but pretty much the answer is always no, because I plan my week knowing exactly how much energy I can give in that moment and to be just optimized in my doings essentially. So I always schedule for like a week plus in advance essentially. I hope that makes sense, but that's just a rule that I have with myself, a boundary I have with myself, because I didn't used to always have boundaries. And I know what it feels like to not have boundaries on my time. So prioritize time there. Okay, so I just said a lot of words, and I appreciate your grace on listening to all the words, right? Big picture, I'm slowing down. But in the best ways, and frankly, it will look like I'm not slowing down. I think it will probably look like from the outside that I'm speeding up. But I'm not. And I don't know. I'm excited for all that's to come. Okay, so what's also been going on? I have also, I think that I've always had this part, I feel like I just stuttered there. This part of me, I would say for at least like, it's probably around COVID time, 4 or 5 years, whatever, of, prepping. So for those of you who don't know, this is a fun fact about me, cause it's not something that I actively communicate into, is that I am a mild, okay, I say that, but actually as people who know me, they'll be like, bitch, that ain't true. I'll just I'm a prepper. Okay. And what is a prepper for those of you who don't know? Technically speaking, like the traditional sense of it is preparing for a worldwide emergency disaster. Now, that to me sounds very dramatic. For me, what propels me to it is really just a self-sustaining aspect, like taking ownership of your circumstances. And like I guess you always think back to COVID time, like there was time like, hey, you can't go into the stores for a week, or whatever. Like there were a lot of restrictions, right? It's honestly hard to remember that we even went through all that experience a few years ago, but I think there was in that moment, that's when I'm like, you don't have control over external factors, but I do have the option to control myself and what I do. So prepping, that essentially just like have extra water on hand, have extra like non-perishable foods, have some blankets and a flashlight and I don't know, duct tape and a tarp and, whatever, right? You can go down a whole rabbit hole of a prepper's list. Maybe that's something that I should just offer as like a prepper's guide. Joking, but maybe not. I don't know. Just side thing. Anyways, so I don't know, you can get in a whole slew of conspiracy theories and all these shenanigans going on. But for me, the heart of it is really just, I want to have the opportunity to provide for myself in the case that I cannot be provided for. I hope that makes sense. Either way, so I titled this podcast like why you should become a prepper. And a lot of it is part of it is me. I mean, one is speaking into like opening up a dialogue with yourself and your family, your partner of, are you self-sustaining, right? Something that I started doing was that I have starting to do this year is gardening. So my husband Ian built me out a whole 50 by 30 fenced in garden in the backyard that I'm looking out my office window. We planted 2 apple trees soon in a month or so, probably 2 months. I'm still learning, but we're going to plant from seeds, or I have seedlings actually growing in my office. But once they get a little bit bigger, then I'll put them into the greenhouse that we have in the backyard. And then once those plants get even bigger, then we'll put them in the actual earth dirt, in the backyard and grow gardens. So then we can actually live off of some of the food that we produce, which is, I don't know, it just feels so rewarding to me. And I'm actually even extra excited too of the opportunity to can my own produce. I don't know, just all of that just sounds so exciting to me. And I think a lot of it does come from that, like being self-sufficient and taking ownership of your circumstances. So that's essentially what it looks like in that capacity. So that's what I've been up to. Okay, wait, side note, guys, since apparently this is like a personal episode podcast right now going on, I bought blocks of honey, or beeswax. Sorry, not honey. The honey is delicious, but I have that too. But beeswax, from a local beekeeper. Anyways, so I melted these blocks of beeswax and I turned them into freaking candles. I put lavender, like essential oils, and the buds in there, and I was burning my own lavender beeswax candle. Guys, I am like a homesteader in the city. Like, I feel so fancy and so, well, I guess not fancy. Like, I'm anti-fancy of like, I didn't buy it, I made it. So don't be surprised if client gifts going forward are some homemade shit. Or like you might just get, a beeswax candle and a freaking zucchini. Like that will be your end of the year client gift. I don't know. A jar of potatoes. That would be canned potato. God bless. Okay. So, as I come back to just regular podcasting. Okay, so long story short, today we are going to be talking about why you should consider embracing the prepper mindset as a woman business owner. So I'm essentially I told you like the personal side of things, but like from a serious standpoint of like the business side of things, like why you should embrace a prepper mindset. And I want to say prepper mindset in the capacity like for going forward, these bullet points coming up here, not from a point of like the world's ending, like don't think of it like that, but just like, hey, like I don't know, another mini COVID, or like, you get sick, or like you can't operate in the way that you're used to operating, right? So something external happens that requires you to pivot. So that's essentially, think of it from that perspective on these bullet points coming up. Okay, so number 1, to embrace the prepper mindset. It allows you to protect your livelihood. So as a business owner, your livelihood, so the money you make, is generally directly tied to the success of your business. So the more successful your business is when it comes to, if you're viewing success financially, the more money you make, then the more money you have, presumably, right? So prepping ensures that that you're equipped to handle disruptions and keep your business running, even in challenging circumstances like natural disasters or economic downturns. But how I view this is, like if you, I don't know, the very basic, like common financial, I don't know, piece of advice that you're always given, right, is make sure you have enough money in your savings for like 6 months of expenses. This is what I like, how I view this bullet point is like protect your livelihood. Like if you can't work, like if you are selling your services, right, and you only make money when you provide your time, right? Like coaching, at least, with what I do with one-on-one coaching sessions. If I'm not coaching, I'm not making money. So making sure that like if something were to occur where it would disrupt the money coming in, that I had enough money in savings to protect my current livelihood, that I could pay for my mortgage and my bills and number one priority, feed my cats, right? They deserve all of the best wet food in their life. So prepping allows you to protect your livelihood. Okay, number 2, maintaining business continuity. I can't say that word. Disruptions to your business operations can have serious consequences, especially if you rely on a steady stream of income to support yourself and your family. So prepping actually allows you to maintain the continuity of, okay, just pretend like you guys know what word I'm saying. I can't say that word. In your business, minimizing downtime and financial losses during an emergency. So, if you don't have the money or the health to continue to support your business, depending on how long your business is out of operations for, your business could just die, right? So think of it. I love that we actually had a real life example of this in our generations. Actually, I don't like during it. I should put that asterisk in there, but like to reflect back on. Think about all of the restaurants during COVID when they had the disruption of like, okay, no one's allowed to go out. You can't go to a restaurant. If they didn't have that support, that like financial backing in whatever capacity, a lot of businesses didn't survive COVID because they couldn't hold out for that long. And once you run out of money and let's say a little bit goes after, you can only have so much debt. You can, even if hopefully you don't get to a point where that's required. But that, and then like, okay, the world's opened up again. Like you can restart your business, but if you don't have the funds, if you don't have the physical or mental health there for that, it could be a dud, right? So number 3, embracing the prepper mindset, ensuring your personal safety. I know this is going to get a little bit into like actual prepper vibes, but I think it was something still noteworthy. So your safety is paramount, both as a business owner and as an individual. So prepping enables you to take proactive measures to protect yourself and your loved ones in time of crisis, whether it's having emergency supplies on hand or having a plan in place to evacuate if necessary. And again, I know this is a little more extreme, less of the business side of things, but it was something still just to make note of like, I don't know. I guess I just kind of view it as like, I don't know, having coffee in the office or, I don't know, snacks for your afternoon snack time. I don't know. That's not parallel at all. But either way, you kind of get the vibe. So, number 4, embracing the prepper mindset. Why you should do that. Number 4 is building resilience. So running a business requires resilience and adaptability, and prepping is all about building those qualities. By preparing for potential emergencies, you develop the skills and mindsets needed to navigate challenges effectively and bounce back stronger than ever before. So this is something that I think this is the reason, is it really just requires that resilience and adaptability. When you think about preparing for the future, you're thinking about, okay, what's all the potential situations that can come up? Not from a place of like fear mongering, but from a place of like, I want to be strong. I want to be a strong business owner, not physically strong. I mean, you can be physically strong too, but like I want to have systems in place to, hold the business up if I'm sick for a week, I feel like that's more like the actual probabilities of what could happen. And you are like, okay, if something comes up, okay, now I know I have plan, A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever in place where if this happens, then this happens. If this happens, then I have this happens, right? So it's really preparing yourself. So you don't really have to stress when something comes up and you're like, oh shoot, what do I do? Right? You're like, okay, I've thought about this before and here's how we can do it, right? And I also say all of that with the knowing that at the end of the day, like, we don't know what the hell's going on in life, right? We like, you don't know what's to come, right? You're not a mind reader. You're not a fortune teller. So there's going to be moments where life happens and you're like, I don't know how the fuck to deal with any of that. But at the end of the day, like, when you have an open mindset and your willingness to find a solution, no matter how it looks like, that I think is the skill that preppers have, is like, how can we make this work? What can I do to, in preppers' words, survive, right? We're not, the vibe's not that extreme though in this podcast here. So, okay, another reason to embrace the prepper mindset is number 5, setting an example. So as a woman business owner, you have the opportunity to inspire and empower others, including your employees, your colleagues, other entrepreneurs. But by prioritizing preparedness, you demonstrate the importance of taking proactive steps to safeguard yourself and your business, setting a positive example for others to follow. I think this is something that we don't think of often. But like, you have to realize too, people, and I don't mean this in a creepy way, but like in a positive way, is like, people are watching you. Like, they are looking up to you as an examples for the possibilities of their life. Like, you can set an example of how a woman in business can operate her life, can operate her business. Right now, I'm looking up to women who are both full-time entrepreneurs and parents. Like, they have children. I think that is something that's really inspiring to me in this new frame of mindset that I'm in, right? So don't undervalue yourself in any capacity. You might be doing something where like, oh, I know it's just in case, or, it's a far-fetched thing, but like, that's awesome. Like, people, like, you have the power to empower others, so like, don't take that for granted. All right, last point here, guys. And this is something that, like, I think this is something that I personally I'm like, okay, if it happened, I rather just have the stuff in place for it. But peace of mind. Knowing that you're prepared for whatever the future may bring can provide you the invaluable peace of mind. So instead of worrying about what might happen in an emergency, you can focus your energy on growing your business and pursuing your goals with confidence. This is something like, I bought extra rolls of toilet paper the other day. Why? Because I'm like, you know what? Just for a peace of mind. So we have this world eclipse thing going on here in a few days. And I'm like, let me just say, let's just assume I can't go back out for, the day before, during, and then the day after. Okay, well then if that's the case, what do I need in place now? And yeah, toilet paper. I just wanted an extra roll of toilet paper. It gave me the peace of mind where, the eclipse can be going on and I still have toilet paper to wipe my ass. I don't have to revert to a leaf, peace of mind. Super, super important there, guys. So All right, guys. Overall, prepping isn't just about planning for the worst case scenarios. It's about empowering yourself to face whatever challenges come your way with resilience, resourcefulness, and determinations. So, as a woman business owner, investing in preparedness is one of the most important steps you can take to safeguard your business, your livelihood, and your future. So, I do view, preparedness as an investment. And then what that looks like as a business owner, a lot of it's just time. A lot of it is setting up automations, so you're less hands-on with certain things. A lot of it is maybe passing off certain, work tasks to a VA or to an employee or something like that, just so there's someone else that knows how to do this thing. If you were to get sick at the end of the day, don't forget to invest in your preparedness from a business standpoint. And if you want to go to the other spectrum of it, the other pendulum of, world collapse, you could do that too. You have options with preparedness at what extreme level, whatever you want to go at it. So, that is all I have for you guys today. I know it's a untraditional topic, but it was something I saw so many parallels with, and I just wanted to share that all with you guys. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. Honestly, guys, the more and more I'm doing these podcasts with you guys, I am just, I don't know, I literally feel like I am talking to you guys in person, and it's fun. I love having conversations with you guys. I love you guys listening in. I love you guys, just reaching out to me personally and say, oh my God, I love that. I had a girlfriend, in person come up to me after a meeting. She's like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot to tell you how much I thought it was hysterical that you were talking about, thinking back on this is silly, but eating your cat's hair during the podcast episode. And I'm like, I laughed because I'm like, well, it just happened. And she's like, I know, but you didn't edit it out. And I'm like, oh yeah. So I love just single taking these guys with you. And I really appreciate that's what this podcast is all about, right? Being an authentic entrepreneur, just being yourself and showing it out to the world. There's going to be some of you who I've never met in person listening in on this and being like, yeah, she's a cool lady. Thank you also for listening in. This is my first podcast I've ever done, and I know I'm still in the beginning phases of all of it. So honestly, you guys are like the pioneers of this podcast, and I appreciate every single one of you. I feel like in the summertime, I feel like I need to do a raffle basket or something for all my listeners. I feel like that would be so much fun, and I'll just mail it to wherever you are out in the world. So, that would be so much fun. Okay. All right. Send me all the ideas. Let me know what you would want in a raffle basket. That can be the idea, the question of the week here. So, I hope you guys have a beautiful day. I love you. I miss you. I can't wait to see you next time. All right. Have a great one, guys. See ya. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Authentic Entrepreneur Podcast. I hope in between the words of this episode, you found more of your authentic self. It would mean the world to me if you, 1, like this episode if you learned something new, 2, share this episode with a friend who you think needs to hear this, and lastly, 3, to follow and subscribe to this podcast. I want to hang out with you more. Don't forget to tag me on Instagram, send me a DM, wave hi, whatever floats your boat, all at Sam Hardesty Coaching. That's at Sam Hardesty Coaching on Instagram. And hey, look at you go, learning new things, becoming more self-aware and shit. Absolutely crushing it, my friend. Thank you so much. I love you. And until next time, stay authentic.